Okay, so just quickly what we have been doing is we've been looking at algebraic expressions and how to simplify those algebraic expressions. So today we're just going to basically work through a whole bunch of examples. We've sort of done all of the important stuff that we needed to do in terms of just like, you know, nitty gritty, some rules we need to remember, etc., etc. But now what we're going to have a look at is basically just working through some examples for us. So there's 3 important steps, remember, that I spoke about last week. And if you weren't here last week, that's absolutely fine. Remember that those 3 important steps are you needing to identify each of the terms in your expression. You want to simplify each individual term if it can be simplified. And then you want to simplify the whole expression by adding or subtracting your like terms. Now, sometimes some of these steps won't be necessary. Sometimes you don't have to do all 3. But it's just important that if you can do those 3 things, you'll be able to simplify your expression. Alrighty, so I'm going to do the first one with you, or maybe the first 2, and then we'll have a go. So the first thing we want to do is we want to identify our terms. So if we have a look here at example 1, and I'm just going to make it bigger so we can all see. Example 1 is x plus y plus 2x minus 3y. So remember, terms are separated by a plus and a minus sign. So we actually have 4 terms in this expression here. Once we've identified our terms, we check and see if we can simplify the terms individually. In this case, I can't because nothing's been multiplied or divided or anything like that. So what I want to do now is I want to move on to step 3, and I want to find my like terms. Remember, like terms are terms that have the same variable and the same exponent. So in this case, my like terms are x and 2x. And then in a different group of terms, we've got the positive y and the minus 3y. And now we know which terms we are wanting to simplify. We can go and simplify the whole expression. So all we need to do is add them. So I'll start with the x's. X plus 2x is 3x. And then positive y minus 3y is minus 2y. Now, can anyone tell me if those 2 terms, so the 3x minus 2y, are those like terms? Awesome, guys. Well done. Right, so they're not like terms. We know they're not like terms because we don't have the same variable there. So I can't do anything else. I leave it at that. Awesome, well done. So let's have a look at the second one, a little bit harder. First thing I want to do is I want to identify my terms. I'm going to start you off and then I'm going to get you to finish this one. So identifying my terms, remember, plus or minuses. That's my term 1, and term 2 is the plus y. So then I want to ask myself, how do I simplify each term? Now I can only actually simplify the first term. And to do that, I need to distribute. So I need to multiply the coefficient, so the negative 3, into the bracket. Right, so I'm going to give you a minute or 2. I'd like you guys to try simplifying this expression for me. So I've told you need to go and distribute, and then remember what we want to do is add or subtract our like terms. So give it a go. And then once you have an answer, pop it in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and explain to us how you got your answer, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, Arabile, I just responded to your message. Can you please log out and in again? You'll find out that it will help you to actually see the screen because Teacher Sam is sharing the screen with us. Okay. So in case if you can't hear any voice or anything, please do log out and in again.
Right, and guys, remember when we multiply that negative 3 in, we need to be careful of the signs. We know that if we say negative times a negative, we should get a positive, and a negative times a positive, we should get a negative. So just remember those signs when you start to multiply.
Okay, Malevo, I see also your question. You cannot unmute. So if you want to ask any question, please do raise your hands. Your hand, you know the emoji on the Zoom. You can raise that hand out and then I can let you talk. Okay, I can unmute you on my side.
Okay, cool. So I'm seeing quite a few answers coming through here and some different answers. So let's maybe just have a quick look and see what's happening. And guys, remember to correct your work as you go along, because if you've made a mistake, then obviously we want to make sure that we know where the mistake happened. Alrighty, so there's a little trick that we can use when we start to multiply or even divide terms or expressions. And the little trick that I use, oh no, that's gross, is SNV. Okay, so it's not like the naughty SNV we see on movies or series. It's a mathematical SNV. So this stands for signs. This stands for numbers. And this stands for variables. And basically what this is it's just a way for us to simplify a multiplication or a division operation correctly. So what we do is we always start with the sign. So very quickly, if we break this down for ourselves, I'm going to deal with the first multiplication of -3 times x. So we start with the signs. If I've got a negative times a positive, quickly pop it in the chat for me. What sign will you have if you've got a negative times a positive? Awesome, you guys are on it tonight. So we know that my sign is going to be negative. Then I move on to the numbers. Now remember, there's a coefficient of 1 here. So if I just consider the numbers, 3 times 1 is 3. And then I go on to the variables. I actually don't have any other variable other than x. So I've got -3x. So that product there is -3x. So you can use SNV to help you simplify when you're multiplying or dividing. So we've got -3x. Now again, remember, if we're saying a negative times a negative, I get a positive. So there's my sign for the second distribution. 3 times that coefficient of 1 is 3. And then we just have the y. Then the second term stays exactly as it is because I can't actually simplify it any further. And now I have to go and double check if I have any like terms. Now, in terms of x terms, I only have 1. But in terms of y terms, I've got a 3y and a y. So what that means is I can go and add those together. So that means I've got -3x and 3y plus y is positive 4y. So just double check your answers. Make sure if you went wrong, you know where you went wrong. And if you don't know where you went wrong, please just ask. But identify your terms, simplify each term, and then you can add or subtract your like terms. Right, so just quickly, can we just get a thumbs up, thumbs down if we are okay? Feeling okay after that question?
All right, Bile, can you unmute?
Hello.
Hi.
I want to ask with board mass, with the brackets, wouldn't it be -3xy, then plus y for the final answer?
So what we need to be careful of is inside the brackets, we actually have 2 terms. So we can't, let me just get rid of that. So what we need to remember is that inside the bracket, I have 2 terms. I can't just put them together. This x and this -y are 2 separate terms. So I can't combine them together because they're not like terms, which means I can't add or subtract them. They're not being multiplied, so I can't get x, y. So they have to stay separate terms, which is why I've got the -3x and then separately the +3y. Does that make sense, Artile?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we have another one from Tando.
Perfect, Tando.
Tando, I just unmuted you. Please click on your side to speak.
Hello, ma'am.
Evening.
Ma'am, my question is, so on the second question, can you please explain in more depth why you had to say -3x plus 3y?
Okay, so that came from simplifying the first term. So I'm just going to take all my scribbles off here. While I'm doing that, Future, I saw your question. It's absolutely fine to go straight to the answer. That's absolutely fine. Right, so I've got my 2 terms here. Now, in the first term, I have to simplify that. And so I need to multiply the -3 to the x, so that's a multiplication, and I need to multiply it with the -y. So what I've done on the side, which I'm just going to quickly take off again, is I've got my little rough working out here. In the first multiplication, I've got the -3 times the x, and we said that that was -3x. But then I also have to go and multiply the -3 with the -y. And when I do that, we know a negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times the coefficient of y, which is 1, so 3 times 1 is 3. And then we have the y. So that's where I got that +3y from, and the -3x came from the first multiplication into the bracket. Does that make a bit more sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Perfect.
Tando, we have another one on the line.
Cool.
June, could you please click that button on your side? There we go.
Hi, ma'am.
Evening.
So I don't understand. How do you simplify in order so you can go to the answer?
Okay, so if we're going to start to simplify, what we need to do is do these 3 steps that I started with, all right? So
Okay,
let me just put them up there again. So the first thing we want to do is identify each term, then we want to simplify each individual term, and then we want to simplify the expression. So that's what I've done in this step. So I'm just going to go away from that again and go to question 2. So the first thing that I did was identified how many terms I had. Now terms are separated by a plus or a minus. So again, I'm just going to take my scribbles off so we can do it again.
Okay.
This plus over here is separating terms. I don't care about plus or minus signs inside a bracket, only the ones outside. So this whole thing here is term 1, and this plus y is term 2. Now I can see in term 1 that I actually have a multiplication between the -3 and the bracket. And what that means is I have to multiply the -3 into the bracket, which is what I did over here in this block. And so by distributing, I'm able to simplify that specific term. And then I'm just left with lots of terms where I can find my like terms. So that's the highlighted bit over there. And once I know what my like terms are, I can add them together.
Okay, ma'am.
Does that make a bit? Okay.
Yes.
We're going to do lots more examples.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, good. Yeah, guys, I'm really enjoying the questions. This is great.
So Zahara, if you want me to unmute you, like I said, please do raise your hand and then I can unmute you, okay?
And guys, if you're struggling with the raising hand or unmute, just pop your question as well in the chat and we can help you that way as well.
There we go, Zara. So
Awesome.
there should be there we
So,
go. Hi.
morning,
Hi, Zara.
afternoon. I just wanted you to explain to me more slower, like how to work out this question.
Okay. So like I said, we have to
Because you're
follow
going too
these.
fast for me.
Okay. So where are you getting confused? Okay, Zara, I think you're, oh, there we go. Try again.
There by the whole thing, I need to know how do you get to your answer?
Okay, so I'm going to go again. We need to do these 3 steps over here. So guys, I would take a screenshot of this if you haven't got these down. So every time I say the 3 steps, you know which steps I'm talking about.
Okay,
So, okay, cool. So I'm going to do these 3 things. So if I quickly go back, like I say, we first identify our terms, and this is what I'm going to underline here. That plus separates my terms. So I've got 1 term, 2 terms. And then I see in my first term, I have to multiply that -3 into the bracket. So I have to multiply the -3 with the x and the -3 with the -y. That's going to simplify that first term. Once you've done that, those brackets fall away. They're gone because you've done the multiplication. And then you're just looking for like terms. And once you have your like terms, you can add and subtract them and simplify the whole expression. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do lots more, guys.
Okay, miss.
Okay, perfect. Right, so let's go on to question 3 here.
Well
Now,
done,
if you-
Zara, for asking. That's good.
Alrighty, guys. So if you were with us last week, we spoke about fractions. If you weren't, I'm going to do a quick reminder for you. There's lots of different ways we can deal with fractions. And as you guys move up into maths, if you decide to take maths, there's sort of, again, like new ways you're going to learn how to deal with these things. But right now, the way we're going to deal with fractions is we're going to separate them. We know that when we've got lots of terms, so in this case, I've got one term, 2 terms. I've got 2 terms in my numerator. If they are written over the same denominator, what that means is I can actually separate the fraction. So that's the first thing I'm going to do when I have a fraction. So let's put a little note here for ourselves. When we have a fraction, we will separate it. Alrighty, so when I say separated, we're going to take each of those terms and we're going to write it over the denominator. So I've got 5a over 5 minus 15b over 5. So that's all I mean when I say we're going to separate the fraction. What that does for me is it creates a situation where now I can simplify each of those fractions individually. Now, again, you can use SNV here to simplify, because like I said to you earlier, you can use that when you're multiplying or when you're dividing. So let's start with the first term. And if you're not 100% sure where the first term is, remember a plus and a minus sign separates our terms. So this is term 1 and this is term 2. So if we look at our first term, guys, we're going to start with the sign. So if I've got a positive divided by a positive, we automatically know that my answer is going to be positive. So that's S done. Then we go to the ends. Who can tell me quick 6 in the chat what 5 divided by 5 is? And I'm seeing some answers here that are looking good. Awesome. Well done, guys. So exactly, 5 divided by 5 is 1. Remember, if I said 5 minus 5, then I would get 0. But 5 divided by 5 is 1 because 5 can go into itself once. And guys, remember, if you're in doubt, grab a calculator. Alrighty. So we know we've got a 1. If you want to write the 1 there, that's absolutely fine, but you don't have to. Then we go on to the variable. I just have an A there, so I've got 1A. Or you're going to write this as just an A. That's fine. Then we go on to the next term. Now there is a minus there, and I need to remember that minus. We do the numbers, so 15 divided by 5, and I saw some answers there is 3, and then we have the B. So either you've written this as A minus 3B, but if you keep the 1 in front of the A, so 1A minus 3B, that is absolutely fine, right? It's exactly the same thing. Okay, so everyone who is putting down A minus 3B, well done, or 1A minus 3B.
Okay, Imange has a question. We all yours. Please click on your side once. Imange, if you can hear me, just click on your side and then you can talk. There's a little box popping up on your screen. You just have to click it. Imange, are you there? Okay, Teacher Sam, Tatu is asking, where does the 3B come from?
Yeah, okay, cool. So guys, that 3B is coming from the second term over here. If I say 15 divided by 5, I get 3. And then B isn't being divided by another B. So it just stays minus 3B.
Hi, Mange.
Hi, Mange.
I was going to ask the same question.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, cool. Tato, are you happy? Just a thumbs up? Okay, guys, I'm going to move on. But again, if you've got questions, you must just say so. Alrighty, so I'm going to start this one off and then you're going to finish it for me. So those 3 steps that I told you must screenshot, we're going to do the first one. So step 1, identify our terms. Now remember, a term is only separated by a plus or a minus. So this minus is going to be quite important for me. So this is term 1, and the second bit here is term 2. So what that means is I need to be able to multiply the negative 2a and the 3. So I've told you which terms are which. I want you to go and make sure that you can simplify each term and then try and simplify the whole thing for me. So essentially, I want you to simplify this expression for me. So I'm going to give you a minute or 2 and then we'll have a look at the answer. Okay, for those of you who missed my explanation for the 3b, I hope you've got it written down. Otherwise, what we're going to do is I'm just going to make this a tad smaller so that we can see. If you're confused where the negative 3b came from in question 3, it came from simplifying this term over here. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. There's no b that I'm dividing anywhere, so it's just minus 3b. Okay.
Okay, let's go, guys. Let's try this. Lungile, are you done trying it? Do you want to answer the question? And also for those of you who are asking about other content, guys, please do check on our website. Normally, all the content that we are already done should have videos under your grade, okay? And if you don't find any videos, it means that we haven't done that content that you're asking, okay? So let's give it a try, guys. Let's go. And I will, while you're busy answering the questions, Lungile has some questions or wants to answer. Lungile, we are all yours. Lungile, you will have to press on that pop-up that is coming there first, and then you can talk. There we go. Good girl.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Lungile.
I'm really lost here.
Okay, so I said the first thing that you need to try and do is multiply the negative 2a and the 3. So have you done that?
No.
Okay, so try that first for me. What is negative 2a times 3?
Okay.
Okay. We are going to go through it, but try that bit first.
What is it that you get, Lungile? What do you get when you say negative 2a times 3? What do you get?
I'm still looking for my answer.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, guys, I'm seeing some promising answers, but what I want you to go and check in your answers is that you are remembering the correct sign. Okay.
We can do this. We can do this, guys. Let's go. Okay, are you ready, Lungile? Sorry to put you on the spotlight. I just want you to learn. That's all. What did you get, girl?
I think it's negative 6a.
Okay, awesome. Well done.
Done.
Okay, guys, so if we have a look at this, like I said, the only term I can actually simplify is the second term. So if I take negative 2a and I times it by 3, again, we can use S and V to help us. If we've got a negative times a positive, I've got a negative. 2 times 3 is 6, and then the a is just there because I'm not actually multiplying a with another a. So what your expression actually is 3a minus 6a. So this is where I was saying just be careful of your signs. If we think of a number line, my number line isn't going to be great, but we'll roll with it. If we think of a number line and we're starting off with positive 3a's, if I'm now going to take 6 A's away from that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to end up with a negative. So that means that I've got a negative 3A as my answer. And the reason I could subtract those two is because 3A and negative 6A are like terms, right? Now remember, when we are adding or subtracting like terms, and I'm just going to write another little note for us, we don't change the exponent. It is only when we multiply and divide. So let's put a little thing here. When we add or subtract like terms, the exponent doesn't change. And guys, when I write these notes down, if you don't have time to take them down, you need to screenshot it.
Well done, Amanda. Amanda got it right. Well done.
Well done. Right, so just a little expansion on what I've written down here. What I mean by this is, if I have 2A plus 3A, I'm adding. So the A exponent doesn't change, it stays A. So I have, oh God, Miss Molly. So I just have 5A. 2A plus 3A is 5A. However, if I were to say 2A times 3A, I'm changing the operation. The multiplication means the exponent can now change. 2 times 3 is 6, and A times A is A squared. So it is only when we multiply or if we divide with variables does the exponent change. If I am adding or subtracting, the exponent doesn't change. So the variable stays exactly as it was in the original question. Alrighty. So if you need, I will give you a second or two to take a screenshot or finish copying that down, and then we'll have a look at question 5.
While you're taking any screenshot, yep, I see Tando. Tando, press that button that you get on your screen and you can talk to us.
Ma'am, can you please explain again on the multiplication part?
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. If we are looking at the multiplication, what essentially I'm looking at is this bit of my expression. So this is what I've got going on here. I need to say negative 2A times 3. Now, when we do these, we're going to use the little trick of SNV, which I've got up here, and I'm just going to rewrite to make sure that we multiply correctly. So SNV, signs, numbers, variables. So if I've got a negative times a positive, because we know there's actually a plus in front of the 3, I get a negative. So that is why that's why my final answer is a negative. So that's the signs done. I don't have to stress about the sign again. Then I move on to the numbers. 2 times 3 is 6, and that's then the numbers done. You can tick it off. Now I've only got one A. I don't have another A in the other thing that I'm multiplying, which means that actually I just have an A there. If I had another A, then we would go to the A squared situation like I was writing down here, but I don't, it's just A. So I end up with negative 6A. Okay, Tando, does that make a bit more sense?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Awesome, well done. Right, guys, so let's have a look at question 5. Right, we're going to do question 5, and then you can have a brain break, you can stretch, and we'll see what's happening. Again, I'm going to help you a little bit, but then I'm going to let you go. So remember, step 1, identify your terms. Now, this is the only plus or minus sign that I care about in terms of separating terms. The other one's inside the bracket, so I don't care about it. So my terms here are this bracket times the x, and then the negative 3. So what I need to do, and it looks a little bit different here because the x is not at the front of the bracket, it's actually at the end, but that doesn't matter. There's still a multiplication between the x and the bracket. So I still need to multiply the x and the negative 2 and the x and the x. So I want you to have a try of that. If you only get halfway, that's absolutely fine, but I want you to try and then you can work with me for the rest of it. Karabo, I see you have a question. Do you want to raise your hand or do you want to type it in the chat?
June, did you already try the question? June has a question.
Ma'am, I did not start yet. Can ma'am please explain question 5 again? I'm getting lost.
Okay, so question 5, I'm just going to take all my scribbles off again. I've got 2 terms. One term, because that's all being multiplied, and this is a completely separate term because of the minus. Okay. And so what I now need to do is I need to multiply the x with the -2. So I need to say x times -2. And I need to multiply the x and the x. So x times x. And I need to find what those 2 products are.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll go from there.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so try that for me. Good. And guys, remember what I said, when you multiply with variables, so for example, x times x, we're going to have to consider what happens to the exponent.
You guys are doing so well. Remember that trying is the whole point of this. You need to try it first, and then when we do corrections, then you can correct yourself, okay? And keep asking questions if we do corrections that you don't understand. So you guys are doing really, really well. I'm proud of you.
Keep going.
Okay, Lungile, we are all yours.
Ma'am, I can't see the sums that you are doing there.
Okay.
What do you mean you cannot see question 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see my screen?
Are you able to see the screen, Lungile?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you see in your screen?
I see June, Kaya, and ma'am there.
Okay. I think the easiest way and the fastest way is for you to log out and in again. Okay, Lungile? Just log out and then you come back again, and then everything will be fixed.
Okay.
Okay, Tumelo, we are all yours.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Thereby x times x, you say x squared.
Good, well done.
Okay.
Then you say minus 2x.
Woo! Good, Tumelo.
Minus
okay, so
3.
Okay, perfect. So Tomato, you agree you would have x squared minus 2x minus 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Tomato, while I have you here, are any of those terms like terms?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to help? Let's see. Are any of those terms like terms?
No, ma'am.
Awesome, well done. Okay, so none of them are like terms. Remember, like terms, they have to have the same variable and the same exponent. So because this is x squared, it's not a like term to minus 2x because those x's have different variables. And then let's see how much you remember. If we are talking about -3, what is the special name we give to that type of term that is just a number without a variable? Who can remember what that's called?
Ooh, my people are on fire. Well done.
Well done, guys. Right, so because you can't add or subtract anything, this is actually your final answer because none of these are like terms. So that's where I stop. Well done, Tumelo.
Actually, so you just have to click on your side and then you can communicate with us. Actually, so are you there? Okay. Well done, guys.
Right, guys, excellent. So we're going to take a brain break, get up, stretch, move your body. While you're doing that, I'm going to explain question 5 one more time for you. All right, so I need you guys to listen to me and listen to each other so that we're not saying the same thing lots of different times. Okay, so I'm explaining question 5 again, so listen up if you're a bit confused. If you are happy, you are stretching your body and just getting some blood flowing. So for question 5, I've got 2 terms here. Now my 2 terms, let me just get a nice color. My 2 terms are the bracket times x and then -3. Why? Because that minus sign is separating my terms, 2 separate terms. Once I've done that, I need to say, okay, well, in the first term, I know I've got a multiplication going on here. And so I need to go and multiply the x into the bracket. Now, this is what I'm doing over here. If I'm multiplying x to the -2, which is this first step, x times -2 is -2x. Remember SNV. Positive times a negative is a negative. 2 times 1 is 2, and then we've just got the x. Then when I multiply the x and the x, this is where I said, remember your exponents, x times x is x squared. So what I've done is I've taken those 2 answers that I've got and put it back into my expression over here. So there's my x squared and there's my -2x. Then I still had the second term. I just couldn't simplify that second term. There wasn't anything I could do with the -3. So it just comes down. And then I go and check, do I have any like terms? And as you all correctly told me, there were no like terms. And so my final answer is just the expression that I had there. Okay, so it's really important that you identify your terms and simplify each term because that avoids any unnecessary mistakes. All righty. So here is your little brain teaser, brain break situation going on here. And then you are looking for what? 3 candles plus a sheep plus, I want to say, a castle. Right, so I've got a couple of people saying the sheep are 15, which I completely agree with. If we've got 3 of the same thing being added together to get 45, then I've got 15 plus 15, which is 30, plus another 15, which gives me 45. So I completely agree. Anytime we see a sheep, we're working with the value of 15. Right, now for the castle, just remember, when you add together, what is it? 1 sheep plus 2 castles, we need to get 21. So I've already got 15 of the 21, which means I am missing 6. And if I have to split that equally between 2 castles, each castle is worth 3, because 3 plus 3 gives me 6, and 6 plus 15 gives me 21. Right, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Whoopsie daisies.
Well done, guys. Let's do this. Let's go.
Right. Awesome. So now we need the candles. Now, guys, what you need to be careful of is just look at these candles over here and see that here I have 4 candles, but here I only have 3 candles. So I want to figure out what 1 candle actually is. So in this sort of second last step over here, if I want to get 7 and I already have 3, then these 4 candles must all be 4, which means that each of these candles represents 1. So if I have 3 candles down here, I've got a 3 that is being represented by the 3 candles, right? So exactly 1 candle is 1. And then if we add 15, 3, and 3, I hope we all agree that we get 21. Okay. Well done, guys.
Well done, my people. So remember, it's 21 or 22.
And guys, remember, like, this isn't something that you have to be getting right. It's just to give your brain a break from all the algebra that we're doing. Alrighty. Okay, good. Have we all had a stretch? If you haven't, do a quick stretch. Stretch your back, stretch your wrists, get your shoulders going. Ooh.
Let's stretch, guys.
Right, and if you have had your stretch, we're going to have a look here at question 6. Now, do not panic. We're going to do it together. You can write it down so long, and then we'll have a look together. What I'm realizing is that I have not left myself space here, so I'm just going to shove it over. There we go. Right, so guys, we're going to do this one together just because the steps can be quite confusing if you've never worked with them before. So we're going to work with these steps together so you can see exactly how you should be doing the 3 steps that I mentioned at the beginning. So the very first step is identify your terms. Now, it doesn't matter how you choose to identify your terms. When I do it, I always do the little underline that I've been doing. So this minus sign over here is going to separate my terms. This one inside the bracket, it's inside a bracket, so I don't consider it. So in this expression, I have 2 terms. I have got this first term over here, and then I've got a second term over there. So there's 2 terms that I'm going to work with. So that's step 1 done. Step 2 is to simplify each term. So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to consider each term separately. So I've got a little bit of space on the side here, which I'm going to go and work with. So my first term that I want to simplify is 2 times the bracket x squared plus 3y times y. Now, this is one that we did discuss the other day, but we're going to discuss it again just so that we all know what's happening. So when I've got 2 coefficients to the brackets, so my 2 coefficients here are minus 2 and y. What I would do is I would just put them together at the front of the bracket. This is because when we multiply, it doesn't matter what order I multiply things in. So just because I'm choosing to first multiply the 2 and the y, it's not going to change anything. The reason I'm multiplying, remember, is because this is saying 2 times the bracket x squared plus 3y times y. So all of that is multiplication. So whichever ones I choose to multiply first, it really doesn't matter. And if we go and multiply the coefficients together, so just put them both at the front, it's going to make my life a whole lot easier. Okay, I see a couple hands up.
Yes, so June, you can speak now. You can just click on there. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, so are you allowed to start inside the brackets so you can get everything in order?
Okay, so what would you do if you were starting inside the bracket? June, explain to me what you would do there.
I would take x squared plus 3y.
Okay, so I can't add them together because they aren't like terms. I can only add things together if they're like terms. And because I've got an x squared and a y, they're 2 different things. So I can't add them together, which is why I go and multiply.
Okay, ma'am, I understand.
Okay, good, well done. Right.
Okay, Zara, sorry to disturb, but
No.
Zara has a question.
I'm just going to, Zara, before I get to you, if you guys are happy, what I want you to try and do is multiply the 2y and the x squared and the 2y and the 3y. And then when I'm done with the questions, we'll check that product. All right, Zara?
Must? Is it a must to do it? How must do it? Because at school we do it, we put our like terms together and unlike terms together.
Okay, now tell me something. If we just look at the question, do you have any like terms there that you can put together?
Yes.
Which ones?
Now, yeah, those. I think x and can I first multiply those 2 and the brackets y x squared plus 3y and the close brackets, and I multiply that first.
That's, yeah.
And then the y minus x.
Okay, so
And
now we
then
need to
the
be
bracket
careful,
with the
Sarah.
xy.
Okay, but now we need to be careful. This y is still part of this first term. So I can't now group it into the second term. It's not part of that second term. It needs to stay with its term.
Oh.
Okay, so this minus sign over here actually forms a division between terms. So I have to keep them separate until I have multiplied and divided everything, or if there is division.
Oh.
Okay, so that's why
Okay,
I'm doing
miss.
this. Okay, good. Well done.
Okay, miss.
Okay, Ayanda. Guys, I hope you are busy during this question though, while others are asking questions, and you must be alert and listening. So maybe what you're getting confused with is exactly what they're asking, okay?
Okay. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Anda.
Yeah. Ma'am, I wanted to ask if I take, since you've already put it as 2y, so if I say 2y times x to the power of 2, will I get 2 to the power of 2x to the power of 2y?
Say it again for me.
2x to the power of 2y.
Excellent. Well done.
And then
2x. Yeah, keep going for me.
Plus 6y.
Okay, now if we've got a y times a y, what do we end up with?
So on that, x to the power of 2 squared.
Good, well done. Okay, so exactly as Ayanda said, when we say 2y times x squared, we get 2x squared y. And when we say 2y times 3y, we get 6y squared. And we need to remember that when we say y times y, I'm going to change the exponent. So I get that y squared. Good, well done.
Okay, so ma'am, when you multiply the other side, it's going to be negative x times everything?
Yes. Well,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
when we say times everything, just be careful. It's not going to be negative x times 4 times x times y. That's just one term. So the
Yes,
second
ma'am, I mean by that. I mean like, so it's going to be negative, it'll be negative 4x to the power of 2y.
Good, well done.
Well
Okay.
done, Ayanda.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So for that second multiplication, it's exactly as Ayanda's just said. We now have in our second term over here, negative x times 4xy. So that's what I've written down here. So this was the multiplication for term 1. And this was the multiplication for term 2. So now we have to multiply the negative x and the 4xy. So go back to SNV. We know a negative times a positive is a negative. X times x, oh, maybe I should do my numbers first. Oh, so 1, because that's the coefficient, 1 times 4 is 4. X times x is x squared. And then I don't have another y to multiply with, so it's just y. And what you've done there is you've now simplified each term. So now we can take our answers that we got and write them down. So 2x squared y plus 6y squared minus 4x squared y. And that has come from, so all of those terms have come from multiplying or simplifying each of those terms.
Kayani, you can speak now. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah.
Ma'am, I just wanted to know if you can explain it again just a little bit slower, please.
Okay, cool. So guys, what I'm going to do, because we have broken this up a bit. I'm going to start this whole explanation again in case you're confused. And I really encourage you to listen to what I'm saying and to listen to each other's questions so that we're not repeating the same thing. Okay, so step 1, identify my terms. Now this minus sign is going to separate terms. So term 1 is over here and term 2 is over here. Now it's really important that we do this so that we make sure that when we're multiplying or when we're simplifying the terms, we are using the correct values. Now, someone had posted in the chat, I can't remember now who it was, don't we want to remove the brackets? That is exactly what we want to do. In order for me to remove the brackets, I need to multiply. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate my page like this rather, and we're going to simplify term 1 and we're going to simplify term 2. Now, in term 1, what we need to be careful of is the fact that I've got a 2 times the whole bracket times the y. Now, because I've got something I'm multiplying in the front of the bracket and at the end of the bracket, that becomes a little bit confusing. So to simplify that situation, I'm just going to put the y in the front with the 2, and you can do that. All you're doing is just putting it somewhere else in the expression. It's still multiplication. You're just making your life a bit easier. From that point, I now want to simplify each term. So I want to now multiply 2y with x squared and 2y with 3y. So if we do those quickly, 2y times x squared is 2x squared y. And again, you can remember your SNV to do these multiplications. And then we've got 2y times 3y. Now 2 times 3 is 6, and y times y is y squared. So this first term simplified is going to be 2x squared y plus 6y squared. So I've simplified my first term. Now I want to simplify my second term. So my second term is negative x times 4xy. So it's just one multiplication I have to do here. When I do that multiplication, again, remember your SNV, a negative times a positive is a negative. So I've got a negative. Then I've got the 1 times 4, which is 4. X times x, which is x squared. And the y doesn't have another y to multiply with, so it's just y. And so the expression that you actually have that you need to now work with, I'm just going to change my line there, is 2x squared y plus 6y squared, and I'm just going to move this a little bit closer, minus 4x squared y. Now I need to look for my like terms. So I've got an x squared y and another x squared y. And then the 6y squared is by itself because it doesn't have an x in it, or an x squared to be more specific. And so that's a separate term. So this is now where we put all our like terms together. If you want to, guys, remember you're welcome to rewrite this so that your like terms are next to each other. So if you want to write it as 2x squared y minus 4x squared y plus 6y squared, you're welcome to. And then you can see that your like terms are together. And then we just add and subtract. Now, remember I said that the exponents won't change when you add or subtract. So 2x squared y minus 4x squared y is minus 2x squared y. And then we've just got the plus 6y squared because of the fact that it doesn't have any like terms. I can't add it to anything else. Whoopsie, sorry. And so that is my final answer.